So Dr. Ramos, let's talk more about personalized medicine and have you address some of the general questions about the practice. First off, what is personalized medicine?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's been almost a buzzword, buzz phrase that has been synonymous with individualized medicine or precision medicine, but ultimately it's meant to get across this notion that we can no longer look at an individual and think that the appropriate treatment or the appropriate diagnosis or methods of prevention can be informed by populations of other individuals that may not share the same background, may not share the same, as you laid out, lived experiences or environmental pressures. And all of that ultimately has an effect on health outcomes and how we treat disease. And so that's generally summed up of moving away from this one-size-fits-all approach at a tailored, customized, and ultimately personalized approach to treating disease, to understanding the outcomes for a given individual. I'll just kind of quickly add that it's, in the clinical community, as I'm sure you know, you're obviously meeting with a patient one-on-one. You're not talking to a population. So there is this individual interaction, but it's what's informing that clinician and that provider to really choose the right method of diagnosis and again of treatment that really will be further bolstered and informed by something like precision medicine and the program.
Fantastic. So do you think this is going to ultimately phase out traditional medicine the way, for example, I was trained when I was in medical school?
That's a great question. So for me, it's never that binary. It's never just yes or no or one or the other. And ultimately, the sweet spot is really in the middle. And so I absolutely see a blending of the two approaches. So, for example, even prior to the research community delivering the sequence of the entire human genome, genetics really wasn't a part of traditional medical practice in terms of trying to understand why a given patient presented with a certain type of symptoms. But now that's increasingly becoming part of their toolbox in terms of being able to assess their patients that come before them. And I think similarly with precision medicine, it won't just be genomic information, it'll be environmental information, it'll be more, again, personal information that will be able to inform the traditional practice. Where I think things will greatly evolve is really in the context of race and ethnicity. We all have our own personal biases, and clinicians are no different. And there's a lot that can be informed by a patient's race, a patient's ethnicity, in terms of trying to identify, a particular diagnosis, for example. But there's a slippery slope there in terms of an African American patient or a Latino patient really being reflective of that entire population. That can't be possible. There has to be some individualistic kind of personalized aspects that need to be considered. And so that's where I think something like precision medicine, personalized medicine will come into the fold.
That's great. So another question that came up is personalized medicine expensive or inaccessible depending on where you live, for example?
Well, again, I mean, that plays right into the core values of the LOS research program. One of the things that I've just been continuously blown away is the makeup of the cohort that has volunteered and stepped up to be a part of this program. Traditionally, biomedical research has had an extremely challenging and difficult time to bring in a diverse population across a variety of different research studies. the fact that the All of Us Research Program has over 365,000 volunteers, participants in this program, and well over 50% represent a diverse race or ethnicity is just astonishing and awesome to me. And even beyond that, there are other categories of individuals that are represented in research that are now part of the All of Us Research Program. This is a significant stride because then that means you as a Latino, you as somebody that lives in a rural community, you as someone that is of a particular sexual orientation, you now have this representation within the All of Us Research Program that can empower you further in terms of information that can provide it back to you. There is no cost to be a part of this program. And ultimately, in terms of healthcare, I view this as an opportunity to really flip that model head as well. As we look to refine our efforts in our treatment of patients across the United States, getting at that answer quicker, avoiding unnecessary tests or diagnoses or misdiagnoses. These are all things that could potentially be impacted by the learnings from this program.
That's fantastic. So one question that came up was, how do you find potentially a provider to take care of you wherever you might live that may be interested in adding this aspect, delivering personalized medicine to your care?
Yeah, so this is where, the All of Us Research Program ultimately is really meant to ingest all of that data, share that back to the participants in a variety of different ways. And that data that's ultimately held in a repository, obviously in a safe and secure manner where all identifiers are stripped from the participants, that is now accessible to the research community. And what that means now is the research community, as I mentioned earlier, has an opportunity to ask a number of different questions. And this pipeline, this kind of workflow is that the research community can ask these questions and publish on these observations that ultimately then are translated into the world, and they become part of the best practices of clinicians. So there's I believe that there will just be a general evolution on the clinical side in terms of how they translate this into care for their patients. How a participant of the All of Us Research Program can directly do that. The program kind of has a bright line in terms of not necessarily delivering that healthcare directly to the participant, but really informing them. And that means that it gives them an opportunity to have a conversation with their provider. And many providers are obviously aware of precision medicine, aware of personalized medicine. But even that having that conversation, I think, is empowering to a patient talking with their provider. And I think that gives them an opportunity to really expand their relationship, which can have profound impacts, especially those individuals with chronic diseases, for example.
Yeah, thanks for that great answer. And I completely agree with you. I see a clear line from the work that's going on, turning it into research, publishing, all of this, having that information be included in medical education, global education to our patients, and be integrated at the bedside. And so that's what's also so exciting about participating as a participant, which is you become a citizen scientist. You become part of what the delivery of future healthcare will be. So that's fantastic. So thank you, Dr. Ramos, for those great answers. We know also many of our members had questions about personalized medicine and what it means in terms of safety or cost. Now we will go over some of the common questions about personalized medicine and determining what is fact and what is fiction so that we can set the record straight.